travel far and wide, this is the place we return.
Year after year, in pursuit of the same goal, against rivals old and new, this is where we test ourselves.
The first 24 hours was staged here in 1924. And though the circuit has changed over the years, Spa has kept its soul. Spa means something.
This is the place where we can prove ourselves. This is where our blood, sweat and tears go. Where we are the most alive.
These are our people. They are the fanatics, the romantics, the true believers. Our flags, our colors, our fans, our warriors.
They see the world differently. They see the world like we do. Where time is short and every second means the world.
Night and day become one. For 24 hours, everything else fades away. Where the music plays and friends are made. Where the present is more important than the past and the future.
For others, it's a sport. For us, it's a way of life. Where they see 24 hours of racing, we see a lifetime of our work.
This is passion.
This is commitment.
This is family. This is the total 24 hours of Spa.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 70th edition of the Total 24 Hours of Spa. Please welcome onto the stage SRO Motorsports Group founder and CEO, Stefan Rattel.
Monsieur le Président Cornelis, Mesdames et Messieurs, welcome to the 70th running of the Total 24 Hours of Spa and to our traditional annual press conference. I've been standing here in front of you for many, many years, and I hope for many more years. We will start this presentation by a company presentation, because with the acquisition this year of the majority control of the Pirelli World Challenge, SRO has grew another step, and I think it's important to show you today what we represent on the world stage. So we are a pyramid. Our pyramid starts here with a Belgian company, Curbstone, that is growing very fast, which is in partnership with the Royal Automobile Club of Belgium, which organize track days. People that have nice cars, they drive on the road, eventually too fast, they sometimes lose their license, they decided to go on a racetrack, and then where we see them? We see their talent, and we see eventually their budget, and we can help them through the rank, going up. So we are addressing a part of our business addresses directly the drivers. They are our clients. Another part of our business addresses the teams. They become our clients. And the third part is when we deal directly with our dear car manufacturers. As of today, SRO has grew as we organize 78 rounds around the world on 12 championship and series. This represents 49 race events in 20 countries on 4 continents. We organize also 48 track days. Our average number of cars across all the championship and series is we have an average of 23 GT3 cars per event, 27 GT4 cars, 44 TC cars, this is America, and we have a total of 2,319 race entries, which should position us among one of the biggest race promoters in the world. I think only Porsche, through their Cups and challenges, has maybe more entries that we do. We have our championship. To show you on the map, we have the 10 round of the World Challenge in America and the round of the Intercontinental GT at Laguna Seca, the California 8 Hours. We have our number of GT4 series in Europe. We have the British GT Championship. We have the Blancpain GT Series and GT Sports Club. Of course, with our Blue Ribbon event, which is the total 24 hours of Spa. We also have Curbstone, which now represent 43 track days in Europe. We are establishing a race in the Middle East with the Nations Cup and the GT4 World Final in Bahrain. In Asia, we have the very successful Blancpain GT Asia Series with 6 rounds. We have the Intercontinental round of the Suzuka 10 Hours. We are involved with the FIA GT World Cups in the streets of Macau. And we are very involved with the 12 Hours of Bathurst in Australia, which represents 78 rounds on 49 race events and 45 test days. In addition to that, we have a number of GT4 and balance of performance franchise agreement. We have an agreement with IMSA in America on GT4, which represents 12 events. We have an agreement with the 24-hour series known as Creventic on GT4. We have an old agreement on GT4 with the VLN, which helped us developing the category, we must say. We now are proud to also offer our BOP service to the ADAC GT Master. We have a GT4 agreement with Belcar. And we are also a GT4 agreement with China GT. We are also proud to do the BOP service for the very powerful and successful Super GT in Japan for their GT3 category. And we do BOP and GT4 franchise for the Australian GT Championship, which represent another 64 events. So we are busy. Our growth in terms of social media is very important. We've been investing for years. The numbers speak for themselves. This is a comparison from January to July last year to January to July this year. And we believe in the free-to-air social media. We're not Formula One. We want to bring our image, our races to the wider possible numbers, and it's starting to become really significant. That's not a reason to abandon the traditional networks. You can see this weekend, we have a number of networks covering the total 24 hours of Spa. And we are on a number of hours on Eurosport, and that's an important part of what we do. We're on CBS Sport in America, and there is this balance between do we want traditional distribution or do we want to go social media. For the moment, we're trying to have both. After this most important event, which we said it many times, is breaking all records in terms of manufacturer participation, number of cars, level of the drivers, and number of cars that can win this race overall, we have a number of important remaining events. The next one, and I want to salute the presence of Furuta-san from Suzuka Circuit. The next one is the Suzuka 10 Hours. We've been there years ago with the BPR and the FIA GT in the mid-90s. It was the biggest round of Super GT, and it was a divine surprise when I was offered to make it part of the Intercontinental GT with GT3 cars. I think it will be right out of the box the second largest GT3 race in the world. We have already confirmed, I think today, 35 cars. We hope to grow up to 40. It's only GT3 and GT300, which is a Japanese equivalent of GT3. 12 manufacturers are already confirmed this presence. Don't miss that one. It's going to be big. Next event, it's a one-off that we will do with the DTM in Germany at the Hockenheim Grand Finale, where you really have an impressive crowd, and we wanted to do something in Germany. We will say more about it, and we think it will be a very exciting event. Next one is the California 8 Hours at Laguna Seca. It was a slow start last year, but we made it. It's the first long-distance race on the west coast of the US, and we see the growth, and we have a great interest for this year, and we have no doubt that this event will become very important, already a lot more important this year, and very important in the future. Then one of my favorite, the most turbulent kid on the block, that's the GT World Cup at Macau. We pushed a bit the FINC to have it live on Eurosport this year. I mean, it's a great place. It's an amazing spectators. and it's really, really exciting races. It's now done mainly, almost exclusively to manufacturer racing, and I think we will have another very exciting grid this year. Another one is the FIA wanted to do a kind of a Pro-Am events to match the World Cup for professional, to have another World Cup for Pro-Am. I mean, Pro-Am is not something easy to sell on the global stage because there are many Pro-Am events around the world. So we had the idea of creating this Nations Cup. We choose the BMW, not because we prefer BMW, but because they signed the pole position yesterday. So we thought we paid them a little tribute for that. So it's we're signing with the FIA a 5-year agreement where the challenge is that we have to change country each year. So we have to bring this Cup of Nations, 2 drivers of the same passport nationality on one car. I have to say we received a lot of interest. You have 40, I mean, only in Blancpain, between the various series, we have 53 different nationalities represented. So you can imagine that we have a potential. We want 24 to 30 cars, and we will also bring GT4 cars from all around the world for another race within the same event. So now we're going to speak about the GT3 and the evolution we will bring to our GT3 platforms this year. GT3, sometime we hear on and on and on. GT3 is a little bit, you know, it's too expensive, it's not successful, is it going to continue? No, gentlemen, GT3 is very healthy. We have counted, and that's just the major series, 311 cars racing at the moment, and you see the number of cars racing per manufacturers. Some need to improve, and we're working hard at making them improve the customer racing nature of their series. But what is most interesting, and you maybe understand why we wanted to invest on the US market, it's because when you have 180 cars in Europe, you only have 34 in America. We see in America the biggest potential growth for GT3, and we're going to be working on it. In Europe, not big news. We want to make the sprint series a bit more appealing. We will return to Barcelona with a sprint, and we want to have a race at the Red Bull Ring because we have Austrian teams and German teams that will love this circuit, so we want to be there. And also, what the sprint have been suffering for years is that a pendulum effect between, we have 2 sprint series, GT3 sprint series in Europe, the ADAC GT Master and the Blancpain GT Sprint. And every 2 years, I mean, one gets about 35 cars, then you have too many losers for not enough winners, and then you have too many accidents, so then they have a tendency to go back the other way. They stay 2 years, and they go back the other way. So we think to avoid this, that it's reasonable that we say for the Blancpain Sprint Series, we take only 26 cars. Like this, we are sure that the ratio between winners and losers will remain in balance. In the endurance, we will then, since Barcelona is going to sprint, Nürburgring will go to endurance because the German team told us, you know, I think you have more German team than Spanish teams, so maybe you should finish at the Nürburgring. Personally, I like the sun and the beach at Barcelona, but here I'm back in the Eifel. GT Sports Club, our real series for true gentleman drivers, age 40 to 70s, where I now belong, and I will try to do a race this year. Will be reduced to 5 events because the events we had in the middle of the summer didn't match our clients who preferred to be on vacation at this time. And the British GT Championship will continue with GT3. We won GT3 in British GT with 7 events. In terms of calendars, no big surprise on the Blancpain GT Series calendar, only with, as you see, a couple of new circuits appearing and swaps between sprint and endurance. The Blancpain Sports Club also, not main differences with this year, just one less race. The British GT Championship, we're trying to change one event because it's the most stable championship we have. It's not complicated, it's full on, full grid, sold out every year. So we're trying to offer our competitors a bit of diversity. So we're looking, the TBAs would like to have another circuit coming this year in Britain, and Benjamin and Lauren are working on it. Asian GT was a divine surprise with us. I mean, 30 cars, steady. It is the only true sustainable Pan-Asian championship. You have very big championship in Japan, you have starting championship in China, a bit of racing in Thailand and in Malaysia, but the only Pan-Asian was Japanese who don't like to leave home, go and race in China, and Chinese go and race in Japan. We're contributing to peace in the region and people interacting with each other. But we didn't want it. I was shocked on one of the events where I saw 6 European drivers on the podium. And I said the idea was never to have a European championship in Asia, but to have an Asian championship. So looking at what Super GT has achieved, where you have a Japanese in each race, we said you have to have one Asian passport nationality in each race for people to really have an interest in it. And in addition, we want to add, we have a good Korean team in the series, and we want to add Korea in the calendar. So we'll stay at 6 events, but Korea will be replacing the Formula One circuit in Korea, will be replacing one of the 2 events we have in China. The Blancpain GT calendar, as you can see, only Shanghai, the dates remain to be finalized, but we are now visiting 5 countries, Asian countries. Before we speak about America, I would like to ask Greg Gill, the president and CEO of the Pirelli World Challenge, to let us know what it feels like to be with SRO and to have me more than before on the phone on a very regular basis.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Stefan. We started the journey to work with the SRO over 3 years ago. And at that time, the board and myself spoke and said, how could we put the world in World Challenge? We had a little bit of an embarrassment of riches. We had a successful series, great entries, great staff, good customers. But what we were missing was the professionalism, the execution, and the history of what the SRO has built in the rest of the world. So far, we've seen great success with that. Our paddock has well responded to what you'll see from Stefan. They've been excited about it. It's another format. It shows being a respect that the SRO has for each of the markets that operates in. They look at what the customers want in it, and they respond to it. So far, we love it. We think it's going to be very good going forward, and we welcome all of you to join us at the California 8 Hour or at some of our other races this next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. So, in order to redefine, and this has been presented to the teams in Portland, but we said, okay, it's a new market. Just don't do your import. Just import your ideas. You firstly need to listen to your teams, and I went personally to meet with one-to-one to 20 of the teams, heard their requests, heard what they liked, what they didn't like, and also thought of our own experience without forgetting the DNA of the World Challenge, because it's important. It will be celebrating next year 30 years of history, so we don't want to erase 30 years of history. So our design for America was to combine the DNA, what our teams want, and what we believe is good for the series. Very simple. We have announced that we will reduce the calendar from 10 to 7 races, and we will go where the people want to go. We will just select the 7 circuits they prefer in America. The series had an habit of having quite long events ranging from 5 to 4 days, and we said what made the success in Europe and in Asia is short event, 3 days only, so we cut it to 3 days. Then we said because in America, it's, if you live on the East Coast and you have to go and race in Sonoma, you're going to spend a day and a night in a plane, and if you're right there to do 2 races of 25 minutes, you're not very happy and you don't come. That's why we didn't have the level of participants we wanted. So we say we need to give them basically more track time, longer races, and it's something we do only for America. We will do 90-minute races with a short pit stop, refuel, changing tires, and we believe that this format should be much appealing. So better circuit, less time at the event, more time in the car. Also, we will reinforce that was a little bit of a weakness of the Pirelli World Challenge with the sporting environment, and I want to thank Alain Adam, who has accepted, in addition to all his workload for us in Europe, to be the race director of the Pirelli World Challenge, the GT3 side of it. So we will have, like in Europe, a sporting environment for GT3 and a sporting environment for the other series at each event. So that is the calendar we propose. So it's not surprising. We have 6 races in America and 1 race in Canada, which we absolutely need to have because we have quite a lot of a good number of Canadian teams, and that gives the opportunity to present you with the new logo of the Pirelli World Challenge in America. GT4 now. GT4 is a very successful formula. We're very, very proud of it. It started 10 years later, started to be successful 10 years later after GT3. And it has already a number of 241 cars. You can see the various manufacturers represented, and it's successful right out of the box thanks to Pirelli World Challenge and IMSA. It's already successful in America, and it's unfortunately weak in Asia, so we're going to have to push the GT4 category in Asia. So in Europe, 2 main news. The first one is that we want to answer. We don't only listen to our teams in America, we also do a little bit in Europe, and it seemed that the European team that have been competing in the series for a long time would like a little bit of endurance racing. So we will grow after much thought, first we said, we're going to do 10, and then we said, cost. Then we're going to do 8, and at the end we will do 7 events next year, all of them with Blancpain GT, and 5 of them will be the traditional sprint, and we'll bring 2 races, endurance races of 3 hours each. And the other big news, because we've been talking about it for a while, is the introduction of a GT4 series in Germany under a franchise agreement with the ADAC. That will basically replace the GT4 Central European Series, and I would like to ask Lars to join me here on stage to have a few words.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Stefan, for the introduction. And first of all, I think you just mentioned it. We are really happy to work together with SRO and Stefan Ratel especially regarding the BOP this year in our successful ADAC GT Masters, the GT3 category. And I think today we announce a long-term partnership. You just mentioned it, Stefan, regarding a GT4 National Series in Germany, the ADAC GT4 Germany. And in our opinion, it's really an important step because the successful ADAC GT Masters platform is now with the GT3 cars, with the TCR cars, with the Formula 4 cars, the Porsche Carrera Cup National in Germany, and now with the GT4 category. So for us, it's a really important step for all the drivers, for the teams, for the media, spectators, and so on, to increase our successful platform. And thanks to you, Stefan, that we have signed today our long-term contract, and we are really proud of our cooperation.
Next step is, so that's our GT4 European Series with 2 long-distance races we'd like to have at the Paul Ricard and Spa-Francorchamps. All events, they are all Blancpain GT events. GT4 France, very successful as well. More than 40 cars this year, when you think that we started from the white page with 0 car at the beginning of last year. We have only one change with the circuit of Le Donon replacing Dijon, which really need to improve their organization and infrastructure before we come back, but we hope to come back one day. Asian GT4, so you're going to say you want to launch an independent grid when you have only 7 to 10 cars, so yes, you cannot grow a tree under another big tree. So if you want to grow 2 trees, you need to give them space. So we will definitely organize a GT4 series in Asia within the same event with only Asian national and resident, because you have some team owners in Asia who started importing gentleman drivers from Europe, which is quite amusing. So some of our drivers who have always contributed to the cost of racing suddenly were invited to go and race in Asia. It's fun, but it's not really fun for the Asian guys which are there trying to learn and to create a category. So that's why we really say it's for only driver. In America, GT4, and I go quickly because you're not all passionate about the American scene, we respect the DNA of the series by having the one driver format. Pirelli World Challenge was touring car, so they're used to one drivers. That goes to the big events, to the main events, including with IndyCar in the streets of St. Petersburg. And then we create two new series, GT4 America East and GT4 America West. As I told you, if you live in Manhattan or if you live in Hollywood, you're not really motivated to go across the country. So if we want to grow the number of GT4 cars in America, as we did in Europe, we need the races to be closer to the participants. The Pirelli World Challenge, so that's the number one, and the GT4 America East, and the GT4 America West, which is going to be quite cool all around California. We are sure it will be very successful, and a number of the people working at SRO told me, could I go and be in charge of the GT4 America West? Now, like if we were not busy enough with GT3 and GT4, we are very proud to announce you today the launch of a new category for GT cars, which is GT2. We were very surprised and happy to see that the name was not registered in the category we wanted. So we registered and we own the GT2 name worldwide, which will help us, like we own the GT4 name, which will help us developing this category. Why? Because we think there is a difference on the market between the performance of GT3 and GT4. We also think that there is a class which could be exclusively reserved for supercars which don't need many modifications to be extremely performant. We know the concept is GT4, and we've seen good supercar being truly castrated to come down to GT4 performance, and we say this car, we should leave them their power and should even welcome more powerful parts. And if you know the GT car market, you can see that there are more and more powerful cars coming to the market. We've seen from our amateur drivers in the GT Sports Club that they can very much use the power, but the downforce is more difficult. If you take an Apex at 100 and you have to take it at 120, it's not that easy. While accelerating and taking full use of the power, it's a lot easier. I know I'm one of them. We also want to reinforce the standalone GT3 grids in Asia, in Britain, and everywhere with an AM class, because we're losing the AMs at the moment that don't really feel their space into GT3 racing. And also, in case, it's not the case now, don't worry, GT3 is very healthy, but if in the future GT3 will have a tendency to slide towards GT specs, we would have a safeguard, because we didn't build all this pyramid and business to take the risk of being cut short with a category would just suddenly skyrocket and become too expensive. How we will do that? We want a weight to power ratio of 2 to 1, so we're talking fast cars. We want limited aerodynamic development and limited modification to the road car shape. And we want no modification in engine and gearbox position, which means that these cars will be true supercars. We don't want to replace GT3, and not to replace GT3. This category is only for the AM class, and it's only for the sprint format, no endurance with GT2. We will introduce it already in 2019, and if I take the liberty want to do one very special one-off event to introduce the class and start the first year with the Blancpain GT Sports Club, British GT, and then extension from 2020 in America, Asia, and the sprint formats in Europe. If I take the risk or the liberty to introduce this concept today, it's because I am certain that some manufacturers are working on cars, and I am certain that at least one or two or three will be presented for racing next year, or at least in the course of the year next year. If we look in power, because people tell me, why GT2? Because if they're not as fast as GT3, why? Because today, the GT4s are, as you know, 330 to 480 horsepower. The GT3 are 480 to 560 horsepower. The GT2 are gonna be very powerful, as you can see, 640 to 700 horsepower. But in terms of performance, because all the engineers know that downforce is more important than power, at least in the end of the pros, but while it will be AMs, we believe that the AMs will go quicker with their GT2 than they would be with the GT3, and that the whole concept behind it. Now our global dreams. It's been 26 years since, I have to say, I've been to Le Mans with my Venturis, and I was even in 95 running a Ferrari F40 LMs, and I was like, why are all these amazing cars, Ferrari F40, Le Mans, Jaguar XJ220, McLaren F1, GTR, and why are all these cars running behind unknown prototypes? I never could understand. For me, the manufacturer should be first, and then the small constructor should be second. But some others believe it's a better market to do it the other way. It's never been my opinion, and it's why I tirelessly work to the idea that GT, the best-looking, best-sounding, most prestigious cars in the world, should be the pinnacle of motorsport, right next to Formula One and nowhere else, because I believe if you love racing, you probably love a Formula, and you probably love a GT sports cars, and that's what we believe. So the first attempt to grow the Intercontinental, this global dream, is our Intercontinental GT Challenge, which I'm very proud to announce that that part of the dream is done. We always say there will be 5 races on 5 continents. We started with the 24 Hours of Spa and a link with Bathurst. We continued with Sepang that is becoming greatly the Suzuka 10 Hours. We added California 8 Hours, and I'm very proud to welcome Mr. Toby Venter, the owner of the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit, to come and tell us a little bit about, join me, of the introduction of one great event. And please go through the storybook, because the Kyalami 9 Hours makes a lot of sense in the Intercontinental GT Challenge.
Thank you, and a very warm welcome from my side. Those of you that know the history of Kyalami will know that the Kyalami 9 Hour was a very prestigious event, and there's been some great races with great cars taking place there, like Ferrari 250, GTOs, LMs, 365, P2s, P3s, Porsche. First race was won in 1961 by Porsche 550 Spider with John Love, and later on there was 908s, and David Piper won with the 917, and then the 956 and the 962s. So we have a great history. Kyalami fell into disrepair, and although it's a national icon, there was a danger of Kyalami actually being lost. It went up for auction in 2014, and we all thought that the property developers would buy it. And fortunately, we were lucky to buy it and restore it to its former glory. Stefan has been there, and he can tell you that it's a lovely facility. And what we would like to offer you is not just a race, but a holiday as well, because in your winter, in European winter, you come to Kyalami for a race, and you bring your wife, and you take her to safari and to the winelands and to Cape Town and everything. So we're very excited about this, and we'll start small and try and build the event back to its former glory. Thank you very much.
I've been to Kyalami, and I can tell you I was impressed. It's a absolutely superb facility, and it perfectly matches these iconic places. This collection of 5 circuits are, to my opinion, if not the 5 best in the world. And it's great to have a race in South Africa, which had both an heritage for racing and also is an important market for the car manufacturers I spoke to, and also to have a race in Africa, which is a booming continent and certainly a huge future for the car industry, and I would like to say for the motorsport industry. So we're very happy to add that to our global dream. The second global dream is to unite and to say now that we offer the manufacturer a title for direct manufacturer support, because we know perfectly that the team that competes on these 5 major events are heavily supported by the manufacturers, sometimes direct manufacturer teams, but it's not what GT3 is about. GT3 is about customer racing. So our idea is to propose the car manufacturers to score points across the Blancpain GT Series, the World Challenge, the Blancpain GT Series Asia, not score points through just their best driver, but score points through a selection of pro up to platinum, down to gold, and to offer a real global challenge for customer racing. I can't tell you everything about it today because I think I already gave you a lot of information. Then it will continue. You will have too much to report, but we will be happy to give you all the details about this new challenge in another shorter, I promise you, presentation and the occasion of the last round of the series in Barcelona. So our next level will be, we have the Intercontinental Challenge for direct manufacturer-supported competition and the World Challenge for what we call customer racing coordination. Thank you very much. I have to say that none of this would have been possible without the support of Blancpain. I would have liked to give the mics to former Vice President, Head of Marketing, Alain Delamura, but he's no longer part of Blancpain, and his replacement has just been appointed. So he will come to Barcelona, so I hope he will say a few words in Barcelona, but I'm today alone to thank them and to say that without this essential support, this series, which is only known by its name, because it has no other name but the Blancpain, would not have been there, and the investments through the year and all what they brought us is very, very valuable. Also, I would like to call Paul Manes. It's the total 24 hours of Spa, so to pass the mic to Paul and thank him once again for his long support and essential support to the total 24 hours of Spa.
Good afternoon. I'm the local one, so it's not necessary to tell you that for a Belgian guy, it's really important to be in Francorchamps. We recognize this racetrack as the most beautiful in the world, of course, and for the 24 times, and it's an easy number to be recorded, we will be title sponsor of the 24 of Spa. We are really proud to be the partner. I'm really impressed, Stefan, by your presentation, because with so many digits and numbers, I've seen a lot of Total in your slide. So you are certainly the best spokesman of Total in Belgium today. But I want to tell you that we are here not only to promote the brand, but also to promote the reputation of our products, because we are also the exclusive supplier of motor fuel of the Blancpain series. And we take also this opportunity to reward all our customers, because we are bringing more than 10,000 customers to the 24 of Spa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. And to continue with Total, I'd like to call Michel Zodogne, who's been the Director Commercial Sales, Marketing and Service. Michel is the 24 hours of Spa. He's been here tell us more about it, for so long, and he's called to other responsibilities, so I'm happy if you can tell us a few words.
The first time I joined the 24 hours of Spa with the FINA brands, it was 87. So since 31 years, I have been present for each 24 hours. We have a very, very nice story with the FINA brand and BMW from 89 to 2000 with 8 win scratch. After that, we have also a very nice story begin 2010 until now with the Total brand and with Audi. And it's really a pleasure to can participate, to can support motorsport when it's organized like SRO is doing it. And congratulations, Stefan. We have the first opportunity to meet each together. It was with the GT1 Championship, with the BMW McLaren, first race Hockenheim, 97. So it's a long time that I have the pleasure to work with the people of SRO, with you personally. And I will only say today, very nice birthday, and congratulations on Stefan and all his team. Thank you.
To make sure that you will always come, I really want to give you a rare, because we don't distribute them easily. We gave one to Dr. Ulrich, and we will give one to Wolfgang de Reimer, who has been so instrumental in bringing many brands of the Volkswagen Group here at Spa. And we want to award you this lifetime pass. So I don't think you did it because you know everybody, but I think it's important that you have one. Thank you very much, Michel. Thank you. And very importantly, I would like Ernesto Garcia from Pirelli. You have to go and see the Pirelli operation here because it's impressive. The number of people working, the number of containers, the evolution to the tire, the reactivity of Pirelli with their product. You don't imagine how difficult it is to provide so many different cars on so many different circuits around the world. And we're very proud that Pirelli today is our global partner. Not one single SRO event is run without Pirelli.
Well, you said everything. Thank you very much. It's exactly what I wanted to say. But let me say just two very, very fast things. First thing, why Pirelli is so involved and why we find SRO series so much in line with our strategies, because all the car brands, I mean, almost 99% of the car brands you saw in Stefan's presentations are the best partners of Pirelli in when it comes to street cars. So we fit all of them, or almost all of them, when they make the most expensive cars for the streets. Second thing why we like so much working with Stefan is because he's challenging us every time. And so far, I think we never told him, no, we cannot do it. South Africa, we are in South Africa. We will have our people in South Africa working for you. Japan, we are in Japan. We created from scratch a structure and hiring people. And we have now 35 people working in many weekends in Japan, simply because Stefan told us that's a market we are interested in. Let me just give you two numbers. We will have this weekend, 120 people working for you guys, for the teams, from 15 nationalities. I asked if Spain was included. I think it was, so it's 15, including Spain. And we moved here 12,000 tires only for this weekend, including all the races. But if you add the last weekend, we were also always in Spa. And the movements of the tires we started doing for Suzuka, 10 hours in August. Last, let's say, 10, 15 days, our logistic people were managing more than 20,000 tires with the same spec, so or almost the same spec, let's say. So this can give you the feeling and the impression of the complexity and how big and how efficient we have become. Obviously, Formula One is a very good testing ground for us. We made for this weekend, very special weekend, 70th anniversary, two special things. We always like to give a contribution to Stefan's ideas and to special anniversaries, and so we created a special label. So it's a collector edition of a competition tire. This is not something you will see Very often, it's only for the pole position, only for the super pole. We created a special edition with the 70th anniversary logo. We created also 2 special tires with the commemorative tires for the poleman and for a fan that will be chosen in the social networks. I think there is a sort of contest. Don't ask me the details. That's marketing, social marketing stuff. But we will have these 2 very, very special collector edition of one unique piece. And so have a fantastic weekend. This is the race that I love the most in the year, and very tiring but very exciting. So good luck to everybody, and see you very soon. See you in August.
Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you, Ernesto. And finally, as I told you, we want to bring GT to the world. And next to social media, I think one of the best way to bring GT to the world is to have our official series game. You know, the gaming industry today is bigger than the movie industry. People play and play and play more, and of all the games, the racing simulation games are among the most popular. So I will ask Marco to join me here and to present you this amazing game that they have been developing for us. Thank you. I leave you the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello to everybody. Wow. Just this morning, my Facebook page reminded me where we were just 7 years ago. And today we are here in Spa-Francorchamps, and thank you also for that, to present our first and the first official Blancpain GT series. So, in very few words, Assetto Corsa Competizione, that is the name of the game, is going to be the official game of the Blancpain GT series. That means that it will include all the official licensing cars, teams, tracks, driver, and racing teams, all the official licensing championship and race regulations. All the tracks will be reproduced using the laser scan technology that results in a great, huge accuracy that is good for the real drivers, for their training, and for the gamers to feel like the real drivers. In what consists will be the next generation driving simulation. Thanks to the enthusiasm, the genuine enthusiasm we found in SRO and the people who work here, also in our partners like Pirelli and the others. Our team has been pushed a lot to create the ultimate virtual racing experience that will result in a next generation graphics video game, in-depth physics simulation of all cars. We are cooperating with the real drivers and teams in order to reproduce also the handling, the physics at the best. The weather simulation that will feature the complete night and day cycle, weather condition, clouds, and so on. Will be variable track conditions with weather condition with aquaplaning, temps, dynamic temps, paddles, and so on, and dynamic track elements that can make the driving on track always funny and challenging. And a new audio system that is driven by multiple real-time telemetry data. I say new because Assetto Corsa 1 is our game currently on the market. We have more than 1.5 million users in the world, and Assetto Corsa is known to be a very realistic simulation. With Assetto Corsa Competizione, that is not just a spin-off of the game, but a completely new game, we are creating a very ultimate experience, and the final goal is to create a real engagement and connection between the gamers at home and the real championship. We'll drive some online feature for the competizione so that we'll have a complete online ranking and rating system with several classes like in the real Blancpain series. We'll have a worldwide leaderboard that will allow the gamers to drive their fastest lap and to be in the ranking and in the leaderboard, also in the real Blancpain GT series website. And we'll have a lot of connected and online special events that will keep the people engaged for all the season and for all the next season. And also considering the presentation Stefan did today, and he showed about all the news for the next years, looks like that we'll be very, very busy as well, and thank you for that. So, we'll make the game available through the Early Access program on Steam. The Early Access Steam is the worldwide digital delivery platform, especially for PC games. By the way, a lot of people asking us about if the game will be available also on console, PS4 and Xbox One. And the answer is that we'll try to do that once we'll reach the ultimate level of development and optimization of the game that is still in development. We'll try to see if the performance on the console or the current generation of console is good enough to achieve the level of simulation we are producing with the game. So the Steam Early Access program allows people to play the game in advance so that they can save some money. They can play the game much before the final version reaches the shelves. And thanks to the suggestion, the feedback, and the testing of the drivers and gamers, our dev team is allowed to improve the compatibility about PC hardware compatibility, the performance, the online functionalities that will be very, very important for this game, because competizione, that of course means competition, is the word around all the concept of the game. So, the question that our fans, users, also the drivers during this weekend are asking us is just one. When we are going to release the early access version of Assetto Corsa? Let's discover it by the video.
Can all stay at home, I think. Huh? Virtual reality is replacing us. Congratulations, it's superb.
Thank you. By the way, we are training today the very young generation of gamers, of drivers, real drivers of tomorrow. So this is not going to be a competitor, but a very good training system, hopefully, for everybody. The news are two. That the first one is the early access on Steam will start on September 12 this year. The second news is that all the graphics you see in the video is completely real-time graphics, so that, as you can see also in the Pirelli Hospitality downstairs, what you see here is exactly what we are going to play. So I won't go not much in detail now, because I will share also this information in our media kit and also in our social media. But in brief, we'll have 6 milestones, 6 releases, from the first one in September 12 to the last one on February next year, that will anticipate the final version, the version 1.0 of Assetto Corsa Competizione that will arrive on Steam on Q1 2019, just before or just in time for the beginning of the next Blancpain GT Series championship. So that's all. I would like just to thank Spa-Francorchamps for their kind support here. Also our partners for the booth we have with Pirelli, so Pirelli, AK Informatica, Sparco, Fanatec and Assit for their really great support that are going to allow you during the overall weekend to pay a visit in the Pirelli booth, in the hospitality, to play the game. We have 3 simulators right there, and you can ask also any information in. By the way, if you want to share or you need our media kit, you can send a request to media@assettocorsa.net, so that we can share with you all the information, all the slide, the videos and the picture you can need for all your needs. Thank you very much. Enjoy this weekend and good luck to everybody.